Hey, AfterBuzzers, thank you for tuning in and joining us for the season premiere of Counterpart on Stars. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
At the dark end
The dark end of the street.
You know, the show opened at the dark end of the street and it closed
at the dark end of the street.
I don't know if that's a good metaphor or not.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. There's so much stuff that happened and that we found out and that we don't know. So, I don't know. So, guys, thank you again for joining us. Here we are for the season premiere, episode 1 of Counterpart on Stars. And this episode is called The Crossing. My name is Ashley Allen, and you can find me on all social media at Ashley Reed Allen. And to my left, I have my beautiful co-host.
Hi, AfterBuzzers. I am Taquela. You can find me on all social media aspects at Taquela_I am.
All right, so let's jump right into this. Of course, like I said, this is a new premiere, new show on Stars, which is I would say is more like a sci-fi mystery thriller type of show. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
We did find that out this episode, right?
Yeah. Creator Justin Marks, who has given you projects like The Jungle Book and Street Fighter in the past. And we have stars like Harry Lloyd and my favorite, J.K. Simmons.
Mine too,
he is
yes.
an amazing actor.
We'll get to that in a little later of the show, but I'm going to say one thing that I really, don't let me forget, but that I enjoy about his character so far.
Okay. All right, so let's jump right into the episode.
Let's do it.
So we kind of open up with, seems like there's like a robbery or some type of like deal going on.
Right.
And, you know, there's what seems to be German police officers. They break into this room and they find this bag full of money, dead bodies everywhere. And there's this lady who is presumed to be a hooker, is kind of bloodied and shaken up. So they go downstairs to kind of gather her and gather the information. And little do they know, she is probably the one who shot up everybody in the room.
At least, you know, that's what I was calling her at first, just like lady shooter. Okay, it's a new show. We're trying to get a feel of what's going on. So at first I was like, well, why did they leave her alive? Usually in the scenes where we've seen everyone else, it was a shot to the heart or a shot to the head. You're like, okay, it was something serious that went down. There should be nobody alive. So I seen her. I was like, okay, so maybe she's going to be the one that's talking to tell what's going on, or she's going to kind of be the bridge between the police officers and who they were actually looking for.
Right.
Lo and behold, we see her kill both of the cops at the end and take the bag of money and visas inside. And I'm like, oh, okay, so she's definitely a prime part of this show and the episode. And, you know, sooner we come to find out that she is Baldwin, which was different because the police officers thought Baldwin was exactly. So I like that little switch up really good. And also that she's a woman, too. She came in shooting and kicking butt right off back. So
that's what I
more
love.
power to her.
Yeah, because, you know, we're so used to seeing the bad guy be the man.
Right.
And I really love that switch up, girl power.
Definitely.
Even though she's the bad guy, but it was nice and it was refreshing to see her, the bad guy, be a woman. So I want to say, jump in real quickly. I think even just off bat early in the show, notice like the color palette, everything is pretty dark, pretty
a little grimy,
dirty, and pretty mute.
Right.
And I think that's kind of going to be a somewhat theme throughout the show. Because I think even the characters themselves are pretty flat so far.
Yes.
Except for Howard 2, which we'll kind of get into in a minute. So we meet Howard 1, which is kind of like your everyday average guy. We see him getting on the train, going to work. He kind of seems like a little meek, you know.
Yeah, and he
like
was really stoic too. Just no spice in life, no anything to look forward to. But I think we end up seeing a couple of reasons behind his, I guess, traditional everyday routine.
Yeah. So he gets to work, which is already kind of weird because they get into this locker room. Everyone changes. Everyone has on the same suit. They all go into this room and they're like transcribing some type of code or whatnot. What did you think about that?
Orchids, flowers, bloom. I just thought it was confused at first. I thought it was, okay, maybe it's a test to who is gonna be able to interrogate. I thought eventually this woman, Baldwin, we know her as, or maybe this is a test to gain access to the next level of or within the Office of Interchange, the building or the company that they work for.
Right.
I just thought it was odd, but then again, like I keep saying, and I'll probably say throughout the show, it's our first show and first season. So it's like, okay, just jot it down, note. I'm sure it'll come full circle later on and we can tie it all in then.
Yeah.
But yes, I thought that was pretty strange because afterwards he just leaves. So we didn't get any more of the detail between them two and that little open the packet that said look out the window segment. So
we literally have no idea what that meant or what that was for.
Nothing at all.
So Howard goes into the locker room again. He's kind of conversing with his coworkers, so we kind of get to know some new characters, Marcel, and then we see him go up to the office to talk to his boss about a raise. He's been at the company for 30 plus years, and he's looking to change from his current job, which is interface, and he wants to be a strategist or get the strategy job.
Right.
Again, we'll kind of figure out what's the difference between those two. What does that mean exactly? And his boss, which is Peter Quayle, kind of seems like your young,
arrogant jackass. Like he just was just know what it is. Sorry, it's not you for the job. Have a good life. Like
he kind of seemed like that guy who was just given that job of power just because. Yeah. Trying to figure out why, because as we saw later on in the episode, it kind of doesn't seem like he even knows how to do his own job.
Well, I agree. It seemed like he was end up taking orders from, I think Cyrus is his name. So even though...
Cyrus.
Was it Cyrus? Okay, so it seems like for the office space of what's going on, that's where his power leads. That's what he's over. But now that we know it's another side or another world going on, it seems like he's taking orders from someone of higher power. Right. And I think that person may be Cyrus. But again, in time we'll tell.
We'll see. So then they basically tell Howard he's not going to get the job. We don't care how long you've been here, your credentials. You're an interface man. So that's where you're going to stay.
Rude, because he was like, oh, you're here to give me a resume? Yeah, we had that on the computer.
And they didn't talk about anything.
And disrespectful. Not at all. And he didn't even want to hear or give him the chance to at least voice his concern or at least just promote himself into why he thinks. At least listen. That's the only thing. Don't just blow him off so cowardly. That was just rude to me. But
Poor Howard. But then again, we're learning about who he is, that he's kind of a little bit of a pushover.
Oh, and it comes full circle again, which I'll get to later when we start getting into the end of the show, but it comes full circle and I love that part.
So Howard goes to visit his wife. His wife's name is Emily. And we learned that Emily is in a coma. She was in a hit and run accident, I believe. And she's pretty unstable at this point. And we are then introduced to her brother, Eric, who just barges in the room and is demanding for Howard to sign these papers because her mother wants control of her.
To come back to England to be with family. They don't think... At the time, we assume she may be like brain dead. So they don't think she has much longer to live. They want to just go ahead and end her life and proceed on with theirs. But Howard's still trying to hold on to. I think the dynamic between initially Howard and Eric, I think Howard doesn't know how to stand up for himself. Or he's inferior to people who are more bold in how they communicate in their actions. So that too kind of was like something that I just had to pinpoint and make sure I keep an eye on this. So hopefully throughout the season we'll kind of see him come out a little more.
Hopefully.
Which we did a little bit, but we'll get to that again later. But so Eric intimidated him, basically. Told him what he wanted, signed it, do with a little underline of a threat, you know, and then left, basically. Like, I'll be back tomorrow. In the air of that, I know you'll sign it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you then.
Yeah. Which I think is freaking crazy. I wish somebody would walk up in my husband's hotel room.
I wish that, I mean, and I guess understand too, because at first I was thinking Eric was maybe like the stepson or something, but then we find out that he was actually her brother, and maybe he was just the one in charge. Maybe he is the more vocal of the family, which is why he's here to make her come home or make Howard let her come home. But
it was a clear sign that pretty much I feel like no one respects Howard at this point. No. Not his brother-in-law, his boss, his coworkers, nobody.
Yes, not at all.
He kind of just pretty much exists at this point.
Again, I think it goes back to just how he is living his life. Just literally every day. There's no, and maybe this was Emily, and if she wakes up in the show, maybe we can see that spice come back to his life, some excitement, some adventure or something, because their wedding picture, it looks so much, they look happy. It looked like they were filled with hope and excitement, you know, it just looked different. So hopefully we'll see him kind of cross over in those too.
Yeah. He probably just became a different person, you know, once she had her situation.
Right.
So then, again, Howard is completing his routine the next day. We see him meeting with his friend, having coffee, playing their little game. And he goes to work, and his badge number does not work.
I was thinking he was let go already just because he wanted to apply for a higher job. And even back a little bit, when he's leaving, they see... Michael is the guy's name, Marcel, who actually is the one who was given the strategy job. That's what it was. And they all invite him out, and I kind of think there's a sense of, okay, you kind of wanted this job. We do know that. But, hey, still come on, hang out with us and, you know, have some drinks, celebrate or whatever. And he's just like, no, that's okay. But, again, so we do turn around, like you said. So I think... I was thinking that part just because he was trying to get another job, a higher position, higher paid position, more respect, whatever the strategic job includes, that's what he wanted. And I thought because of just his boldness, I guess, at that point, or just his inquiry to try to apply for the job, that they let him go. I was like, dang, that's harsh. Already 10 minutes into the show, and they're firing him. But we see that doesn't actually happen.
And before that, we see when Marcel goes to the club.
Oh, yes.
He goes to a gay club, and he's there drinking at the bar, and there's a guy there, you know, they're kind of flirting with each other, making eye contact, and he follows him to the bathroom, and lo and behold, there is Baldwin in the corner. And I'm kind of thinking, like, okay, like, I understand, you know, in a gay club, you know, there are men and women in there.
Right.
But she, from what we saw, was the only woman in there. How do you not see her standing there in the corner?
Because your eye is on that the person of your affection, the object of your affection at that time, of what could happen or what might happen, you know, trying to meet someone else and have fun in the club. So no, she was really hidden in the corner to where it could have been just in the peripheral eye view and you wouldn't have seen her. So I don't think it was obvious to him until he got locked in a door. Then it kind of like, okay, so is this some type of game we're about to play? And at that point, I was like, oh no, he's about to die.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have, well, I guess his purpose was because there is a kill list, as we know, and some people are on it, and maybe he was just a person that Baldwin was sending the message to. Or maybe it's because of him getting a job promotion. Who knows? We don't know yet. But I just was like, yeah, he's about to die.
Yeah, he's a goner. So Marcel didn't last that long. Sorry, rest in peace, Marcel. You didn't get the strategy job after all. So we actually learned that Howard's wife, Emily Silk, is on the kill list.
Yes. I was surprised by that. How about you?
I was a little surprised. I didn't really understand at first why they would target her of all people.
Right, same.
But at the same time, if for whatever reason they're trying to send a message to Howard number 2, I would see why she would be the person.
Right.
So I guess at this point in the episode, I was trying to figure out, like, why is Howard number 2 the chosen one from the other side? Why is it him that is coming over and, like, knows all this information and is kind of,
I think that's
setting
still
all this up
to be determined. I think within the next couple of episodes, hopefully we will be able to know more of his life on the other side and why, and get the we get the answers to your why. But I think right now we're still going to see a little bit of character development with the first Howard. The second Howard's name is Prime. So, because I'm about to get myself mixed up with the Howards. Yeah, the second Howard's name is Prime. So Howard will be number 1, Prime is number 2.
Right.
But I think we're still going to see a little bit more into him, and then how the two will correlate and relate to one another while they're about to do the work that they're going to do for each of their worlds.
Yeah. All right. So we see Howard go to his job. Like we said, his badge doesn't work. They take him down to the basement, and this is pretty much when it is revealed to him that there's another him, there's another world, another side that he has no idea existed. And Prime, once he is revealed, you can definitely see the difference between the two already. Even though they are identical, they have different mannerisms, they talk differently, even their posture is completely
Which I
different.
think was good for us as viewers, because we're able to, even if we're just listening, we're able to hear which one it is. We don't have to fully be engrossed or get mixed up in, okay, was that Howard or was that Prime? Like, which one? It helps kind of draw the line between the two, and hopefully it will be as far as the worlds that they're coming from as well. So I thought that was really a great point.
And I really love that. I mean, that proves to you how good of an actor J.K. Simmons is, because he doesn't even have to say anything. Just his facial expressions, you can tell which character he is.
And that's what I was saying. That's why I was like, don't let me forget exactly why I was excited that it was him and not, Quayle or even Cyrus, because they weren't. I don't think, as far as actors and just the longevity in their careers, J.K. Simmons is the ultimate of what having a twin will look like, and hopefully just what I can expect from this season as far as the going back and forth with one another, and maybe even a little bit of fighting going on. It's just a whole bunch right now. We'll see what comes to fruition, but yes.
Yeah, he's definitely the perfect person to play this role. So from there, we see Howard basically go back to the hospital again, his same routine, visiting his wife. So what, right now, as we're learning more about Prime, what do you feel about his character? What are you thinking?
I think I'm going to love it, because he's no barred held individual. He's very bold and he's very out front. And he's also to the point where it's about the mission, whatever the totality will be of it, we'll see eventually, but he's about the mission. And it wasn't even... It's like he's not, you don't see no compassion in him, really. Actually, one point might have been when he was actually in the hospital, when they switched roles and he was the one at the hospital with Emily that night. But I think he showed a little bit of compassion for Howard and not signing the documents that Eric wanted him to sign. But he's just real straightforward, real blunt. And to me, that's comical. Like, I love that type of character, because it kind of breaks up the darkness in the show. So for me, I think he's going to be an awesome addition.
Yeah, I agree. So we see Howard. There was a quote when he met up with his friend. I didn't catch his name. The guy that he's playing the game with every morning before he goes to work.
Yes. Oh, were you talking about where he says? I don't know if we actually.
I don't think we ever learned his name, right?
No, I don't think so.
But there was a quote. He said, "Do you think that life is a sum of our choices, and do our choices define who we are?" What do you think about that statement?
Yes, every day.
Because the friend actually disagreed.
Yeah.
The friend said that we are who we are. Our choices don't make us who we are. And I kind of feel like that quote right there is going to be a big sum of what the show is kind of about.
Yes. I also think, well, first, before we get into explanation, do you agree, just yes or no? At first, about the quote, do you think life is some of our choices, or are we who we are?
I think our life is a sum of our choices.
Okay, so then I guess we'll kind of agree to the point where the choices we make are based on who we are, but those things can change at any time. We are a growing individual. We are a changing individual. And I think in the two players you'll see between Howard and Prime, you'll see that kind of combine. Howard is the one who is the choices that he's made, or that have happened to him, to where he didn't have a choice. He had to just go along with what has happened, has made him be more sullen, more quiet, more passive. Very good point. And then here we come Prime, who doesn't, not at all. He's the one that is the game changer. He's the one that is charging that life full force ahead. He's the one coming after Baldwin, shooting at her and getting her really good. And I think he shot her in her face or somewhere or something like that. But so we'll see. I think it'll play out, like you said, it'll be a great quote to continue to each episode to see how it plays out. But I think this first one between Howard and Prime is a good example of the choices that they've made. And they even had a discussion when they were talking. Yeah. Because he said it's the choices, Prime said it's the choices that we regret or don't regret, I think was the right word.
I think it was.
And then
both.
Howard said, or the ones that we do get right, or we something of that nature. I'm going to get it right for next episode so I can say it verbatim. But yes, so.
Because at that point, they were discussing how they're the same person. They've had the very similar experiences, but how are they so different?
Yes.
And to Prime's point, he actually said to Howard, basically along the lines of, you're a very calculated person. So you are the person you are because of the choices that you've made. So back on track, we have them discussing what is this all about? Like, why is people from one world coming into another, starting all this chaos, and pretty much breaking down what is happening here and why is Emily on the kill list. So they leave Howard and Prime at the apartment to kind of get to know each other, because at this point they're going to switch roles to try to take Baldwin down.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty interesting. I liked seeing them get to know each other, learn what each other eats, what they wear. It was pretty funny watching Prime go through Howard's closet, seeing what he was wearing and that pretty bland tie that he put on.
I think for me, well, first, has anyone ever told you that you look like somebody else in life before? Like, has somebody like, you look like. Mm-hmm. So I've had the same thing happen to me too before. So you bring it into their scenario and you're like, how would you really act if you're face to face with your lookalike? Like, exactly, you're looking not in the mirror like you would on a normal day, you're getting your hair and your makeup or whatever all done, but sitting face to face 2 feet away, like, you do look like me, your eyes are brown. And then to try to want to get to know each other. So I felt like at first Howard was just in awe. He didn't know what to say. It was just creeping me out. But then he was like, oh, I couldn't sleep last night. I really was trying to think, like, there's another me, so it might be another Emily, and what else is done? So when he tried to get Prime to taste the funnel cake, Prime was like, no. I'm not about that. Like, I was like, oh man, he about to hurt Howard's poor feelings, because he was really intrigued and wanting to know more about him. And Prime just kept reverting his questions about the mission and about his life, things he needed to know. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Prime was all about that business. He didn't really care nothing about no memories.
Shot poor Howard down every question.
And I think the funniest thing also with their interaction is, even though they were learning about each other, at the end of the day, as we saw further on in the episode, you can learn about someone as much as you want, but when it comes time to actually be that person, it's just never going to be 100%. So let's fast forward to Prime arriving at the hospital. They almost forgot to stop and get the flowers. Thank goodness they stopped and got the flowers. And as he's walking into the hospital, he doesn't put the flower at the nurse's station like he normally does. But Howard did forget to tell him.
Yes.
He remembered the flowers, but he forgot to tell him about the nurse's
flowers. Because he said, I give
flowers.
them to my wife every day. Exactly. And the nurse was ready too. She removed the old one, waiting for him to put the new one. And she just was like, So part of me wished that she would have said, Howard, is everything okay today? Or something, just to kind of remember or help Prime kind of engage, or let him hear through the recordings that, like, put the flower in there, put the flower in there. But
But I wasn't surprised that she didn't say anything, because in one of his earlier visits, she was kind of looking at Howard walking in, kind of moping and stuff. And the other nurse said something along the lines of, just you don't bother a sad man. You just leave him be and let him keep walking. So she didn't say anything. But even though he didn't put the flower in there, just his mannerisms just wasn't Howard. He was standing up tall. He was walking with confidence.
Shoulders
so he
back.
just didn't even really look like Howard. So he walks into the room. He sees Emily there. And now he's getting in the earpiece that her brother Eric is arriving, and of course he's coming to get that paperwork that he's expecting to be signed.
Exactly.
And Eric walks in the room demanding this, that, my plane is leaving, let's get this done. And lo and behold, does he know that this is not Prime? He's about to meet something new, and Prime laid the law down.
He sure did, and I loved every minute of it.
I did too.
It was like, you see, it's like just being a bully, basically. And that's probably what he has been. Like, we've heard again in their conversations, Eric, to both of them, different stories we heard on either side of their worlds. But to both of them, he's just been a pain in the ass. And I think for Howard, he's just let him, because he's not aggressive. He doesn't seem like he's an arguing person. So he just has let him over the years say how he feels, does what he wants to do. Prime showed up and he didn't know it's the difference, but Prime was like, look, this is what I'm going to tell you. You don't want this trouble with me.
You don't want
not at all. So therefore, I'm not signing him. And that was the first part too, which is I thought was really good because he had the mannerisms of Howard when he went to the corner and took the paper. And I was like, darn, he's about to sign him. Yeah. And I was waiting for Howard in the ear to like start begging and pleading for his case. Like, please don't sign him. It's a lot that you don't know about or XYZ. But he just was like, no. And at that time I was like, yes, thank you. And he was like, I'm not doing it. And Eric was stunned. He was like, excuse me, what? Because he was like, where did this confidence come from, basically? Yeah. But yeah.
And I think that goes along, too, with Prime's training, that he knows, just follow his instinct, probably shouldn't be signing these papers and let this dude know. So in the midst of their argument, now we find out that Baldwin is on her way up to kill Emily. And we have all the other officers, they're on their way up, they're following her into the hospital. And she's making her way around the corner. We see the nurse's station, and she's walking past, and then she stops right in her tracks, and she notices that there's no flower. And she is a smart woman, just like we've heard, about her skills, her training.
And my first question was like, or my first thought was, well, how long has she been following Howard and no one knew? Because you have to know exactly like that, just that one flower out of everything else that he does throughout his day, the train and the times that he takes, the store that he continues to frequent to get the flowers, where he lives, all of that, you would notice just the flower not being in the vase.
Because Prime has only been around for what seems to be one day.
Exactly.
So, like you said, how long has this been going on?
The nurse didn't put it back, but that's a whole nother thing. But yes.
So she stops in her tracks. She sees that there's no flower, and she's a smart girl. Again, she stops in her tracks, and she takes those shoes off. And she knows, she can just feel it, that something is about to go down.
Right.
And I think the nurse kind of like set it off, because as soon as she asks, is everything okay? Then she starts running, and all hell breaks loose.
It did.
Another nurse gets shot. It's a shoot off all in the freaking hospital.
They see her running through floors. Everyone else that was on guard and standby comes storming into the hospital. It was a very involved and action-packed scene, which I really enjoyed because, again, we don't know why they're chasing after her, but we've seen her just shooting people point blank, head, heart, everywhere. So for them to start chasing after her, and she's shooting back and she's fighting and defending herself, it's like, okay, this is the good parts of the show that we want to see, the action-packed feel, but we still don't have the why behind it quite yet.
So she pretty much, she makes it through, running through different floors, stairwells, and she jumps out of I believe it was a second floor window, so it wasn't too high. She jumps out, and she kills 2 more people, and she is backed up pretty much in the corner, and now we see her pretty much 2 to 3 feet away from the car where Howard is handcuffed. I'm just pissed that they handcuffed him.
I knew that too. And you knew, at first I was like, okay, they handcuffed him, so he's either about to be in trouble somehow or somebody else is going to come snatch him up. He's not going to be able to defend himself. Don't handcuff me to nothing.
Yeah. And I'm sure we pretty much both knew that he wasn't going to die, but we didn't know exactly what was going to happen. So Prime actually ends up shooting her in the face just as she's about to shoot Howard.
The nick of time.
And she gets away. Yeah. Unfortunately. But fortunately for the storyline.
It is. But I also think too, so another question is Prime and him having what I think is, I don't know, oddly funny, is him having to come to the other world. He still has to get a visa. He has to get a 21-day visa to come to the other side. Yeah. So it's also just intriguing because I feel like him shooting her is now going to be another sign. She's, her face is going to be distorted somehow because I think she was holding like her jaw or something of that area. And maybe even depending on episode 2, we can see her blood drip somewhere. Now they can maybe identify her or whatever, or because this is kind of like the sci-fi movie, maybe it's, who knows, something else that can identify her, a chip or something that's in her, and they'll be able to know more about her. But I was excited about that shot. At first, I didn't think, I don't know if she knew if it was Howard or Prime. Okay. So I was like, okay, she's just about to look at him and run because Howard couldn't defend himself. He couldn't even duck down if he wanted to. He did get a really good look at her. Yeah. But I was a little annoyed when she pulled the gun up and trigger was about to really get him. I was like, okay, so she's not playing no games with no one at all. Period.
Oh, she's taking down anybody in her way.
Everybody. So I was glad that the nick of time Prime came and shot her and she ran off.
Yeah. So pretty much now they wrap up the night. Everyone's on their way home. Peter Quill is taking Howard home, and now they're having this conversation. And, you know, Howard, are you going to help us?
Karma.
You know all this stuff. We really need you. And now I love seeing Peter kind of puff up his chest a little bit. Like, no, like, you need me. I want this raise. So what are we going to do here? Because I'm not going to do this for free.
Yes.
So I'm liking that
like, yes, Howard, a round of applause. Tell him your demands. Because now, as soon, I feel like Quayle put himself in that hole because he was like, so you're going to help us, Howard, correct?
Yeah.
I was like, Howard, you better not say yes. You better start making your demands.
Yes.
And as soon as he started saying that again, I think just that boldness, how he's seen someone else has kind of lived his life, but lived it more on the carefree side and didn't care about what others said or think. That came off really strong within the two meeting. So it came, and he just was like, yeah, if I'm going to help, I need that. I want that promotion. Mm-hmm. And Quayle was like, it's not how it works. You can't have it. And I'm just thinking, yes, he can, because Marcel died. It's open again.
There are no rules anymore.
No, not at all. So we'll see what actually ends up happening. Of course, I think that some of his demands will be met. Of course, what Quayle can say yes to in the terms of the relationships between who knows about the other side and who's leading what, or, you know, all of that faction that's going to go into it. But I'm excited to see what he does get in return and how it makes him again grow as a character.
They're going to be willing to negotiate. They have to, because they need him now, just like he said.
Yes.
So pretty much Howard is in the house. He's having his whiskey, and he's listening to the song that we opened up the show with by James Carr. And pretty much the lyrics in the song were what this whole episode was about.
Exactly. Perfect song choice.
And we see Prime go back to his other side of the world, and he's walking into the bar, and lo and behold, he's meeting his Emily after he told us that his Emily died of cancer.
Right.
So now I'm thinking,
me too.
Can we trust this guy? Can we believe anything that he's saying?
I hope it's for a ploy. I really do. Because at first I was thinking there were things where he said throughout the episode, where he was telling Howard, again, that his wife died, cancer. Okay, one thing. That he told Howard that he had high cholesterol. And so I was like, okay, so is he, and Howard was like, really? I don't think I do, but is he trying to foretell, like, Howard's future too? Maybe he's Howard, but 2 years along or something. Like, what is happening between the two that there's so many differences? But then again, at the end too, when I seen Emily, I was like, oh, so he's lying and he's plotting about something. And I think we'll find out.
I guess let's just get into predictions.
Oh, go right ahead. Yes.
And now, your
I always love the lights.
TV.
I know.
Predictions.
Okay, so Howard, I believe, is going to definitely evolve over this season. We are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. As we've seen at the end of this episode. He's already kind of learning from Howard how to stand up for himself. Even though the way he stood up is still Howard-esque, I feel like at some point he's going to cross the line, and he's going to become the person I think we both kind of want him to be, to stand up for himself, stand up for his wife, protect his family. As far as Prime, I don't feel like we're going to be able to trust him as much as we thought we could. There's a reason why he's lying and omitting certain things about his life. Of course, I'm not sure why yet, but I don't feel like we are going to be able to trust him like we're hoping and thinking we can.
So I'm in agreement with you. I'm going to kind of do mine in two parts. So for episode 2, I think we're going to see more of how Howard is going to be authoritative in what he wants. And we're going to see more of the story unfolding. I think he's really going to get that strategy job because of what's going on now.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get to see more of what the strategist does at the Office of Interchange and how it relates to both of the worlds. I'm hoping that his wife wakes up, because I think it's going to be, again, now I'm going in just to my season prediction. I think the Prime's Emily is going to come over too, because at the end we see she's like, what in the world were you doing over there? He's like, you don't want to know. Yeah. So does she not want to know because of her Emily's situation right now? Or does she not want to know because of maybe she is the actual threat, but maybe Prime's keeping her hidden in their world? But I think Howard's Emily, this is so much. Howard's Emily is going to wake up. She's going to come out of her coma. And that is going to force Howard to want to know more into the ins and outs of each side of the world. He's going to start researching, and he's going to help find out who the actual assassin Baldwin is coming from, who she's working with, and her backstory as well. Yeah. So kind of episode 2 prediction, and then a total show prediction.
And then just a little cheat, as we saw from the big trailer from the show. I believe at some point Howard and Prime are going to switch worlds. Oh. So Howard is eventually going to find out that the other Emily is still around.
Right.
At some point.
We'll wait.
And I'm thinking maybe they're going to switch, maybe to be able to figure out what each other's life is like. I'm not sure.
Well, see, I'm not sure. I think I agree with you on that one. And it's also, to me, I think they're going to end up working together at the end of it. I don't know if it's going to be to try to take down from the one side that we see Cyrus and Quail and whatever their story may be about, and then whoever is on Prime side of the world and running their galaxy, their world, their operations. So I think, like we said, the switch for them two is to get more related, more to understand each other's story, and how, even though they are the same person, their stories may be different, and how they can just bring this whole fight either to an end, or they're just going to be into it more deeper to where that they're going to actually be part of it. They're going to have to draw sides at one point. So, yeah.
And then, of course, we'll learn, what is this agency? What is this business? What are we fighting for? So I'm so excited to learn more and see these characters evolved. So far, I'm happy with this first episode.
Yes, same here.
I'm already hooked. And, of course, like I said, you got one of my favorite actors. So it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So you guys, we'll see you next episode. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ashley Allen. You can find me on all social media at Ashley Reed Allen.
And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Sunday as well. My name is Taquela Jackson, and you can find me at Taquela_IAM on every social media aspect.
So make sure you like, subscribe, comment. We will be checking, and we will see you guys next Sunday. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.